You are tuned into Plática de Práctica in the classroom. On these episodes, we travel across Albuquerque to visit teachers in the creative spaces that they find themselves in. They will continue to share their tips and tricks, triumphs and struggles as they navigate the contemporary creative classroom. Thank you for listening. I'll let our guest introduce herself here in a sec, but we're technically not in any classroom. We're actually at M Building in an office, and I'll let our guest tell us why.
Hello, my name is Tanya Silva. I'm a mom, a teacher, an artist, a daughter, and a proud New Mexican. I'm from the South Valley. Currently, I'm working in the APS Visual and Performing Arts Department, specifically working on the Creative Campus Collective, an initiative that integrates the arts in the curriculum. It brings in artists, teaching artists, and works with all teachers to give them tools to inspire creative learning using creative learning strategies. I've been an art educator for 20 plus years.
20. What year is this then?
I think it's like 21, 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so you and I are in a situation where we find ourselves in kind of a role as a resource teacher position, and I think yours is way more unique though. I mean, we have conversations all the time, and it's just amazing, like the vision that you have for what could be. And similar to you, I feel like we've kind of meshed on those terms where we see the potential in New Mexico and see the potential of their young people. And I guess my first question would be like, what got you to that point? And I mean, to be so passionate about where we're from,
So, being from the South Valley, I think sometimes you're not always looked upon as high achieving or that you can accomplish things other people can. And so I guess like that little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and then moving away and just kind of seeing the world and the differences that it offered compared to New Mexico. I met a woman. Her name is Brenda West, and she was my very first principal. And she was really big into brain research and brain theory, learning and arts integration, and all of those things. She just delivered it in a way that inspired me and made me want to learn and teach and really become greater than what I was at the moment. And so I didn't even realize I was an artist at the time. I just was I didn't really have a plan. I was just kind of going through life, and I was subbing, and she just said, "You really should be a teacher." And I thought, I don't really want to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of just pushed me until I said, okay, what do I need to do? And so I went back to school, and there is where I found out I was an artist. I didn't know I could draw or like had any aptitude for it. And so as I was discovering myself and learning about myself, I was also teaching kids. And so I think the duality of being teacher and student at the same time really helped me to create this vision of my head of what education can be, because I often think about like the deficits I had as a child and how different my path could have been had it been paved a little bit different. And so I want to pave it a little bit different.
Yeah. I love that, because I think similar to you, that resonates so much because, again, I think for lack of better terms, like the westernization of education, it tells us that there's like a linear path. And similar to you, like I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. It just kind of, the universe kind of pushed me in that direction. And I just kind of happened to be okay at it. And so I was like, yeah, and like similar to you, I struggled early on because I did want to, I am an artist and I wanted to like pursue that full time. That's just something that I've always wanted, but not till recently. And honestly, not till moving into the resource teacher role, I recognize like us in these roles, our biggest art project is actually the work that we're doing. Yeah. And we yeah, again, we have this canon of what art is, and if you're not in that canon, then you're not an artist or whatever. But and similar to teaching, some of the teachers that I've seen this year are some of the most amazing artists, and they may not claim that because they are like, well, I don't practice at home or I'm not doing my own craft. But the craft that as an educator, there's an art form in that too, and it taps into so much of I think what art does, tapping into humanity and compassion, creativity, all those things that like as a singular artist you use these skills. But I think we're doing that like as educators on a daily. You're doing that with your students, and they become the palette. They become like
The canvas.
the
I would
canvas.
often say that about my students, that
Yeah.
that was my medium. Because
Yeah.
there's nothing like seeing when a kid will tell you, I can't draw. And you say, well, you couldn't read before you got here, right? You didn't know your alphabet before
Couldn't
you
walk
got
either.
here. And so it takes time and practice. And to see that same kid that just fought you on it in kindergarten, and then when they get to fifth grade and they just draw amazingly, it's just, that's your work.
Yeah. It's interesting too, like when you run into students years, and not just like fifth grade, but like I'm sure you've run into kids that were like, I remember you from third grade or whatever, like, and hearing their stories. And recently I saw one of my students at an event, at the event that I held, and he now has two kids, two little boys, his wife. And I told him, I'm so proud of you. Like, I just see you. And like, back then, like I coached him in basketball as well, and I was just like, man, you used to give me a run for my money, and like I kind of worried a little bit. I'm like, you're a tough kid, and there he was with his little boys, and like like I just see that, and I'm just like, oh man, like, and just him like coming to an event like this is him at. He's like 20 in his mid to late 20s now, but to see him like like
Right.
coming and like acknowledging me and like I don't know, it's just it's such a good feeling. And I hope that at some point every teacher gets to experience some of that, because I think on the hard days we forget that we are planting seeds.
And that reminded me of what my mentor, in the very beginning, it was a really tough school I was at. It was like 98% poverty, very like tough neighborhood. And it was just a particular day, like some of our kids was placed in homes, they were taken out of our school. So it was just like, I was having a moment of like, what am I doing? And my boss says to me, sometimes our job is to plant the seeds, and sometimes you never see it, but you have to have that faith that that everything's going to be all right and you did enough.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, because oftentimes, especially I think you guys that are coming from like the elementary side won't see that.
Right.
You guys, at least like in high school, when I taught in high school, I would see them graduate, and it was like, they
The
made
next
it.
chapter.
They made it. Yeah. With elementary, God, that would be hard for me. I think that's where I struggled at times in the classroom, was the emotional side of teaching, as I would get like frustrated and so attached to like wanting so much for these kids, and then it's like the world they are experiencing in my classroom, and then they go even outside of my classroom at the same school, they're experiencing different things, and then they go home and that's a whole other experience. And I would tell my students too, like, for the amount of time I spend with you, I know absolutely nothing about you. I have no idea if you ate dinner last night. I have no idea if you had a bed to sleep in. I have no idea, like, if you got yelled at on your way to school and that's why you're upset today. Like, there's just so much. And I think, education and teaching is not for the faint of heart. I was just having that conversation with my wife last night, who was also an educator. I'm like, like, I would assume like people that have not been in education, it's real easy to make assumptions and say, oh, you just do this. And there's so many nuanced little things.
Right.
There's so many like minute things, decisions that you make on a daily that create such huge impact, and it's taxing. And that's,
I was speaking with one of my teacher friends, and I just said, this profession takes a lot from us. It does. It gives a lot to us. But there is definitely, I think, a price sometimes that we pay when we care so much and we want to do so much for kids.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. It's hard. I do appreciate that you gave a shout out a little bit kind of unknowingly to your former professor or principal. I'm
Principal,
sorry.
yeah, she's my first principal.
Yeah, and I would assume she was an educator as well. Did she teach like elementary?
Yeah, she was a 5th grade teacher, and then she became a principal.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. And are you still in contact with her? Or?
I do. Yeah, I'm in contact. Not recently, but I am in
Maybe
contact.
we'll have to send this episode to her.
Yes.
Send her the link.
She built a great foundation.
Yeah. And I think we all have that, right? I think everybody can speak about that one teacher that really, like, for whatever reason, made an impact on them. I know I always go back to my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Rhodes, and it kind of came full circle. So Mrs. Rhodes is the only teacher that, back in the day, our trifold report cards. Do you remember those, like, manila color? And the last, like, her kind of farewell to me was, like, it was so great having you. You're gonna do well. Like, you'll be successful in life. Love, Mrs. Rhodes. Oh. She's the only teacher to this day that said love, like, and that meant so much to me. I'm like, who's this lady that, like, she loves me? like she's just my teacher. But that just, like, I don't know, it pierced, like, my brain somehow, and I just, like, I'm so grateful for that because fast forward probably, I don't know, what was it? So 5th grade, we're like 11, 12-ish. Fast forward to like 22, I was a caretaker for a young man, and he was about 10 years old, and he asked me to come to, like, help him. He was in a wheelchair, so he was paralyzed from the neck down. And he asked me to come to, like, a performance if I could help, like, push his wheelchair on stage for him. And I was like, sure, yeah, that's fine. Well, I go to his class and come to find out he's in Mrs. Rhodes' class.
Oh.
I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I gave her a big old hug. And yeah, every time I've had, like, a success of some sort, like, I'll reach out to her and just thank her. And, you know, like, and again, because there are those people that just create that small foundation, I think, that give you hope, right?
Well, we're humans and we need love.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
And some of us have it in abundance and some of us doesn't.
Yeah. So shout out to Mrs. Rhodes. Thanks, Mrs. Rhodes. I'll have to send her this episode as well. Cool. Well, as I mentioned to you, we do our pop quiz questions, and I would want to jump into those. So yeah, is that okay?
Yeah,
are you ready for them?
I'm ready.
All right. So the first question was, where do you find inspiration, motivation, or the drive to be a educator or a teacher?
My inspiration is the dream of a better tomorrow.
Short and sweet. I like that.
For kids. Always for kids.
Yeah. Cool. Number 2. What is a tip or trick you can share with other teachers when working with English language learners?
Visual literacy. It's my passion. It's a language, and I don't think we've explored its full power or potential. It's a tool that we haven't utilized in our toolbox.
And I think also, like, students in this modern era, they're just inundated with visual, like, information. So it's kind of in their nature, I think, at times, to understand, like, like a visual culture of some sort that, like an emoji language of some sort, or, like, I don't know. Like symbols, yeah.
But also, like, I think we need kids to be a little bit more sophisticated observationally, just because we are becoming more of a visual society, you know. It would be super great if we as a society, we as a group can recognize in images whether there's truth or not, right? Or to read it, to understand it.
Well, you were weren't you sharing about your kids and AI, that they're really good at, like, picking up what like
Yes, yes. Like they instantly know when something's AI, and I'm just, I'm old. So I'm just like, well, how do you know? How do you? And they're just,
yeah.
I just know.
Come on, Mom, they have 8 fingers on
Yeah.
one hand.
The fingers are the hands are kind of weird.
That's funny. Cool. Well, question number 3. What is a tip or trick you can share with other teachers when working with students that have an individualized education plan?
So what I'm working on right now with the Creative Campus Collective, one of the components is creative learning and arts integration. And so I would say for diverse learners, neurodivergent, special ed, any kind of learner that's not your typical learner, arts integration is a fantastic thing because the arts has so many access points for everyone. There's something for everyone within the arts umbrella.
That it just resonated with me so much because I'm thinking about another teacher, my 8th grade or 7th grade English teacher, Mrs. Bennett. And I remember like struggling to write. Like if we were writing just to write, like I'm like, okay, like what am I going to say? But I remember there was a practice. She would give us like a squiggle on half the sheet. You would have to create an image out of it, a drawing or whatever, and then write about it. And she would just give me so many compliments. I remember like, oh, these are so great. And da, 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 da. And so having that visual piece, I think, and that art piece when I was writing helped inform my writing, but also like made me appreciate it more. And it like triggered or make something click, I guess. And as you're just talking about that, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I mean, that's such a very like memorable experience for me too at 7th grade because I was struggling. I didn't make the basketball team. Like I didn't, like I was still trying to find my people, and for a teacher to just acknowledge me in that way with a small little like doodle included in your writing.
Well, I think we have to, as human beings, we have to create something, right? Like we have to make meaning. We have to always figure out the why, right? And it's funny you said this because I had this, I love comics. And I do a lot of, when I was in the classroom, I'd do a lot of comics, arts integrated lessons, specifically with writing, just because it's the hardest thing to get kids to do. And I had this special ed student, and he was a tough kid. I loved him though. He was a tough kid. He was hard, but it was always worth it, right? So we did these mini comics, and after we were entirely done with the unit, we were no longer working on comics. His special ed teacher came to me and said, he's still working on those comics. He's still writing. Like he's writing on his own. No one's asking him to do it. And I was like, that's really cool. And so the next year, she came back to me, the special ed teacher, and she said, do you know this student, I didn't have anything to do. It was like towards the end of the year. I didn't have anything planned to do. So he suggested that he would do a lesson, and he did mini comics. And he showed the kids how to fold it exactly and what to do. And he walked around and assisted each kid on how to do it. And he gave a little assignment. And I was like, that's amazing. A kid who hates writing, like he found his way to be able to do it and be successful and feel good and be a leader. All the things that we want from schools.
That's amazing. That's a great story. You built a future art teacher.
Yeah. I did think, oh gosh, that sounds kind of like me, like what I do.
All right. Question number 4. What is a behavioral management issue you have faced and how did you solve it?
So honestly, luckily, being an art teacher, I never really had behaviors that were so difficult or so hard. But I would account that to a few things. So always kindness, always lead with kindness. But also saying that you have to provide a structure for kids, right? And continuity. and behave in the same way and make it consistent, because that's what we all, not just kids, we all need that, right?
Yeah.
And we need that support and that structure. And so I think that everybody says, oh, those are great things, empathy and kindness and structure. Yes, we need that, and routine. But I think the most important part is consequences. And I'm not saying, like restorative justice, like what can we do to like to make this right? And I think we got to a point where maybe consequences were kind of blurred or.
Yeah. I think as you say that, I think too, right? Like we have like these general, like for the general population, yes, we all can agree on you should treat others kindly. You should. But I think the biggest thing that is needed is, are we giving students the opportunity to practice those things?
Right.
We can have them on a poster in the front of the classroom and everything, but are they able to practice them to actually see what it looks like? Because sometimes that's not how things work in other classrooms or the rest of the school or at home or in the community. So it's like, how are we giving them opportunities to understand and really develop themselves to practice those things and really see what it means to them and how it could look? Because in the art room, hey, we're going to practice kindness today. So everybody's going to walk around to everybody's artwork, and we were talking about Post-it notes earlier. I love Post-it notes. So you're going to, on your Post-it note, write one kind thing about everybody's artwork, or leave a little note on their Post-it note. So like, again, even something as simple as that, you're practicing those things that are listed at the front of the room. Or again, I think, because it's real easy to create a list. But again, if you never practice those things, it kind of defeats the purpose, I think.
Or model those things, right?
Or model,
because kids see everything, even when you think they don't. And you are always what they are looking at as to how to behave in this world, right?
Yeah. All right. Question number 5. What has been a highlight project or activity that you are most proud of?
There's been a lot.
I know you do a lot of public stuff.
Yeah. So I would say probably, this is so hard, Creative Campus Collective, but also working with 516 Arts Bridges program. Those two things are very close to my heart, and they're my passion. Creative Campus, the Creative Campus initiative is, we hope to someday be able to be district-wide and have every school be a creative campus. And for that, there's 3 components that that consists or makes up this initiative. It's high quality arts education, which we have with the expansion that we just completed last year, where it puts a music and art teacher in every elementary all of the time, which is amazing. The state of New Mexico has invested so much money into the arts, and it's not just our politicians who's doing it. It's the people who are asking for it and who want it. And so we've invested that money towards the arts because we know, I think collectively as a community, that this is something we want, but not only we want, but it's important to us as New Mexicans. The second component is the creative teaching, creative learning, arts integration. Currently, we're working with classroom teachers to give them professional development for creative teaching strategies, which are little strategies that that use art to create higher order thinking students, basically. Like it's a different cognitive way of doing things, I think. And then the third one is community partners, teaching artists. So we get a lot of teaching artists, professional artists who that's their career, that's what they do. We then put them in the classroom. We work with them to do arts integrated lesson plans, and we try to bring in as many different kinds of artists. We have some really cool like fabric arts, printmaking, environmental artists. And so,
Yeah, we just saw one last night. She was at the Metro. She came to Merit Night.
oh, who is it?
Amy?
Oh, yeah, Amy's great. She's a fantastic
Yeah.
printmaker, and we're so lucky to have these people who are part of our community already working with us to provide something that we know that kids are not only going to enjoy and have fun, right? Because when we think of art, we think, oh, it's so fun. But there's a deeper level to the arts that I think most people don't really think about. And it's on all levels, cognitively, emotionally. The arts have saved my life in more than one way. And so I want that for everyone.
Yeah. And then you had mentioned Bridges with 516.
Yes.
Do you want to explain a little bit about that too? Because I think you did a good job explaining the Creative Campus.
So 516 Arts has been a community partnership that we started 3 or 4 years now. And we had a group that came from Amy Bill, and they have to do service hours, and they were just it was nothing was structured. They were just like, oh, here's some kids. And I thought, well, that's not how we teach how to do like service hours.
And it was when you were at Lou Wallace, right?
Oh, yes,
They would
yes.
come from Amy Beale, and then they would walk over, or?
Yes, they would walk over to our school because we shared a neighborhood. And so Amy Bill high school students would walk over to our school. And as part of their service hours, we would work on a community art project. And so the very first one we did was an arts integration project of Eric Carle, the Very Hungry Caterpillar. And that type of collage, we made little yard signs, and we wrote haikus. And then we contacted the people around us and asked them if we can put a street sign in there, whether it was a business or a home. And then we did that together. And then like 3 or 4 followed next. And each time we got those kids, I was a little apprehensive because I'm strictly elementary. I've never taught secondary. And so I was just like, kind of like, oh gosh, these high school kids, they're kind of grumpy, you know? And as soon as those little kids came in, it was just like, they're just
They
all
lit up.
kids. And it was some of the happiest moments in my teaching career.
Yeah. I got to experience that last year. I was able to go visit you at Lou Wallace when you were there. And I remember, like seeing these tall high schoolers walk in, these big old boys, and then they sit with these little kids, and then they're just like in complete happiness talking about art and the images they were looking at, and it was really cool. So
our goal for that is to, again, take it district-wide to be able to provide that for everyone. And the goal is to start to engage not only just like schools within their areas or their feeder systems or feeder patterns, but getting people from shared communities in a room together and just making art and just making that connection. Because I think right now in this time, connection is really hard. You know, after the pandemic, it seemed for a very long time, we were all kind of like in solitude. I know for me, it was hard to get out and to start being around people again. And I think with our technology, which I'm not against, I love technology, but life is a balance. And I think we can't all just interact online. We have to actually be in person and talk and look at each other in the eyes. And I think if we start really making those conscious efforts to do that, it changes things, because it's much harder to say mean things to someone you're looking at them in the eye, right? It's very easy to say mean things on the computer.
Yeah. All right. Question number 6. Who has been a student that has made you a better teacher?
So we've had this conversation before. Students who are mirrors. So those students that, they get on your nerves a little, and then you're like, oh gosh, that's because that's me. Because I wasn't the greatest student, or, and when you see someone like you, it's but also like those students who are windows. I learn from both.
And the last question, what advice would you give your younger teacher educator self?
So when I saw this question, I was like, ooh, this is a good one. I would tell my younger self, be messy. Be messy, make a mess. Don't care if you mess up a million times if you need to. Because the gold is in the process. And the product will always follow.
That's great. I love that. The gold is in the process. Well, with that, I just want to thank you for allowing me to crash your office and put up all my equipment. And and so, I don't know, any final thoughts or anything before we officially sign off?
I believe in the arts. I believe in our kids. I believe in New Mexicans. And I know that we can build each other up and not tear each other down.
I love that. And I feel like you, so I'm super grateful to be just down the way. My little cubicle is just, like less than 20 feet away? Yeah, Tanya can whack me with a Post-it pad or something if she wanted to. But the nice thing is you have a door, so that's why we were able to record in here. So, but thank you again. I appreciate you allowing me to come bug you. And I look forward to all the cool stuff that I know you're going to be doing soon.
Awesome. And I look forward to all the cool stuff that you are going to be doing.
Thank you.